Welcome back to the deep dive. We're so thrilled to have you joining us today.
Yeah, we really are. It's a great topic today.
You know, our mission here is always the same. We take this massive stack of notes and source materials, and we distill them down.
So you get the absolute best nuggets of insight.
Exactly, without having to sift through it all yourself. And today, we are exploring something completely wild. We are unpacking a really intriguing chapter. Chapter 5, to be exact.
From a very unique book.
Yes. The title is The Legend of the Feral Saint in the City. It's the second installment in an urban fantasy series by Anthony Morocco, and this specific chapter is titled The Angel in a Business Suit.
Which is just a phenomenal piece of storytelling to examine. I mean, we are looking at a narrative that takes extreme environmental adaptation and pushes it to its absolute limits.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because the premise we're dealing with here is just bizarre and completely captivating. We are following a protagonist named James.
Right. And James is not your typical guy trying to make it in the big city.
No, not at all. He is a reality-bending superhuman, and his background is really what makes this so strange. He was raised in a literal pit of primordial mutagenic goo, deep in an uncharted jungle.
Yeah, throughout the first book, he was essentially a feral hermit.
Right. He spent his time healing wild deer with this mysterious golden light, just living in total harmony with the trees and the mud.
But now, in book 2, the setting shifts dramatically. He is living as a wealthy city dweller.
He suddenly has millions of dollars, and he is trying so hard to adapt to a modern urban lifestyle. And he is failing spectacularly.
He really is. But it creates such a rich foundation for internal character conflict. On the surface, it might sound like a standard superhero origin story, a powerful being placed in a metropolis.
Right.
But what is really happening here is a deep dive into profound environmental displacement. James is a completely different species trying to masquerade as an everyday millionaire.
Which is a massive thematic clash.
Exactly. You have this clash between his past, where his entire existence was tied to natural ecosystems and raw survival, and his current reality. Think about the basic practicalities of his life now.
He wants to blend in.
He does.
Yeah.
He wants to maybe get a normal job, build a normal social circle, but he cannot put his actual past on a resume or bring it up at a dinner party.
Feral hermit, born from radioactive jungle mud, doesn't exactly translate well into casual corporate networking.
No, it definitely does not.
That brings us to the absolute sensory nightmare that James is currently living in. The details of his urban burnout are incredibly visceral.
They are.
The story explicitly notes that despite being a millionaire, with access to literally everything money can buy, he finds the entire experience boring as hell.
Which is a pretty funny flex for a protagonist.
It really is.
Yeah.
But it goes much deeper than just being bored. The city's practically poisoning him, isn't it?
The sensory overload is a critical element of his characterization here. The urban environment is actively hostile to his physiology.
Because of his senses.
Right, you have to remember, his senses were calibrated for the subtle nuances of a dense jungle, tracking micro changes in humidity, the faint sounds of predators, the natural sense of flora and fauna.
And dropping those highly tuned receptors into a modern city is
just catastrophic.
The descriptions of this are so vivid. To his heightened senses, the city air just smells completely rancid. The food he eats...
even the expensive stuff.
Yeah, probably incredibly expensive, high-end culinary stuff. It just tastes like pure chemicals to him.
And the TV.
Oh, my absolute favorite detail. He tries to engage in normal human downtime by watching television, and he finds it entirely confusing and loud. He is this immensely powerful being who can bend reality. And modern broadcasting is what breaks his spirit.
It's brilliant.
And on top of all this intense physical discomfort, he's dealing with the most mundane societal pressures imaginable. His family is gently asking him about his plans.
What's fascinating here is the psychological toll of that specific, seemingly innocent pressure. Yes, his family's gentle nudging about his plans represents the crushing weight of societal expectations. They are taking a being who was fundamentally designed for the wild.
A being whose entire purpose was immediate, visceral existence.
Right, and survival. And they are casually asking him to map out a 5-year career trajectory. It highlights the absolute absurdity of modern life when viewed through the lens of pure, raw nature.
It's totally alien to him.
He is suffering from a profound disconnect because the structures of civilization, the timetables, career goals, financial portfolios, they are totally alien to his nervous system.
I want you to think about that for a second. Have you ever felt completely out of place in a new situation, maybe a new job or a new city, where the so-called normal environment felt almost toxic to your system.
It's a very relatable feeling.
A place where you just couldn't make the puzzle pieces fit no matter how hard you tried to assimilate. That is James, but magnified by 1,000.
And his only solution is to retreat.
His only way to cope with his suffocating city life. He finds this tiny, pathetic little forest preserve right in the middle of the city, and he goes there just to sit on a damp rock and remember how to breathe.
It is his meager attempt to find an oasis of his original habitat within the concrete landscape. Structurally, within the narrative, this little forest preserve acts as the staging ground for the chapter's inciting incident.
It's where the two worlds collide.
Exactly. It is the place where his two worlds are forced to collide.
Because while he is sitting there, on his rock, desperately trying to escape the noise of the traffic and the smell of the exhaust, the real world intrudes. He hears something happening nearby in the brush.
A girl is in serious danger.
She is being cornered by 3 aggressive guys. And there's this crucial quote from the story that describes exactly what happens to James in that fraction of a second. It says, "The fear hit him in the gut. It wasn't an emotion. It was a physical signal."
It is a brilliant piece of characterization. It emphasizes that the city hasn't managed to domesticate him.
Not at all.
When he detects prey in distress and predators on the prowl, his jungle instincts reactivate instantaneously. Empathy, for James, is not some higher-order cognitive process where he weighs the moral implications of intervening.
That's biological.
It is a biological imperative. It is an autonomic, physical alarm bell ringing in his nervous system.
But considering those primal instincts, how does he actually respond? Because my first thought was that a feral being raised in a jungle is just going to leap out of the bushes and tear these guys apart.
Yeah.
Does he just go completely wild?
That is the pivotal evolution of his character in this second book. He exercises a concept referred to as city caution.
City caution.
He pauses and he calculates. He immediately realizes 2 crucial things. First, there can be no witnesses. And second, he cannot appear as himself.
Because of the fallout.
Exactly. If he acts on pure violent instinct and tears into them, he exposes himself and his family to the authorities, the media, and a society that would immediately label him a monster.
He adapts.
He manages to blend his wild, immediate instinct to protect with a highly calculated strategy for urban survival.
So he realizes he can't just step out there as James the bored millionaire or James the feral hermit. He has to become something else entirely. Since he has these reality-bending abilities, how does he choose to manifest in this moment? What is his strategy?
He goes for sheer, overwhelming shock value. He consciously manipulates his own physical form, forcing the physical world to conform to his internal will.
And the description of this is amazing.
The text describes his skin darkening several shades, his eyes shift into this blinding electric blue, and then he wills 2 massive, pure white feathered wings to sprout directly from his back.
Wow, here's where it gets really interesting, because he's leaning completely into biblical archetypal imagery. He's a reality bender, so he could look like anything. Why choose wings? Isn't that a bit conspicuous for a guy trying to hide his identity?
That is the brilliance of his calculation. He understands that in the city ecosystem, you don't fight predators with tooth and claw.
Because then you're just an animal.
Right. If you do that, you become just another violent statistic in an alleyway. You fight urban predators with overwhelming, paralyzing authority. He is tapping into a collective human subconscious.
And the final touch to this transformation is just staggering. He isn't going to step out there and save someone while wearing a casual t-shirt and jeans.
Obviously not.
He uses his abilities to make his clothes shimmer and transform into a perfectly tailored obsidian black business suit. So we have a black suit, massive white wings, electric blue eyes, and darkened skin. He effectively designs himself as a divine intimidation tactic.
It is a fascinating subversion of visual expectations. Think about what those elements represent.
The suit is corporate.
The suit is the ultimate symbol of the corporate, civilized world, the very world that is currently suffocating him. The wings represent the divine, the untouchable, the mythic.
He merges them.
He merges the apex predator of the boardroom with the apex protector of the heavens. It is a visual paradox, specifically designed to short-circuit the minds of anyone who looks at him.
And short-circuit their minds, he does. Picture this scene. James, completely transformed into this impossible, suited angel, leaves his rock. But he doesn't just walk over to them through the bushes.
No, he walks on air.
He walks down on air, like he is descending invisible stairs from the canopy. He approaches these 3 drunk predators, and he issues a single resonant word. He just says, "Stop."
The mechanics of that moment are profound to analyze. The narrative specifically notes that the word isn't loud, it isn't a shout.
It resonates.
Instead, it resonates. It bypasses their standard auditory processing and taps directly into their core.
The psychological impact is immediate. There's no fight. There is no flight. What actually happens to these three guys?
It causes a total system failure within their nervous systems.
A system failure.
When the human brain is confronted with something that entirely violates the established laws of physics and human understanding, a man walking down invisible stairs with wings, wearing a tailored suit, speaking with a resonant frequency that vibrates in their bones, the brain simply cannot compute the data.
It just shuts off.
The three predators completely shut down and faint instantly.
And, rather comically, the girl who is in danger sees this impossible angel in a business suit walking on air, and she faints too. Everyone in the clearing just drops unconscious.
Which is a great tension breaker.
It really is. And I love James's internal reaction to this because it brings so much humor and humility to what is otherwise a very grand, mythic moment. James looks at everyone passed out on the dirt, sighs, and thinks to himself, note to self, wings are too much. But I like them.
He is very self-aware.
He is just so completely over himself. He's an incredibly powerful being, but he's still self-aware enough to realize his aesthetic choices might have been a bit dramatic for a Tuesday night in a local park.
That internal monologue grounds him beautifully. Despite the overwhelming divine intimidation tactic he just pulled off, he retains his underlying humanity, or at least his very relatable personality.
It keeps him from feeling alien.
It prevents the character from becoming completely alien or unsympathetic to the reader.
His actions immediately following the confrontation show exactly who he is at his core. He doesn't posture. He doesn't strike a pose or stick around to be worshipped by the girl when she wakes up.
He just gets to work.
He approaches her unconscious body, and he uses his signature golden light to carefully heal her scrapes and bruises. Then, to make absolutely sure she is safe from any other dangers in the park, he teleports her directly to the hospital steps, checks to ensure she is breathing properly, and simply vanishes back into the night.
His motives are shown to be entirely pure. The narrative emphasizes that he wants absolutely no credit for the rescue.
No reward.
He doesn't want gratitude or a reward. He didn't intervene for glory. The action of protecting the vulnerable was the reward itself.
Which brings us to the massive epiphany of the chapter. James teleports back to his damp rock in that pathetic little forest preserve. And as he sits there, reflecting on what just happened, he has this massive realization.
A turning point for him.
He feels a warmth inside him. And he realizes that the warmth he gets from helping someone, from actively protecting the vulnerable, feels infinitely better than just sitting around on his massive fortune feeling bored and poisoned by the city.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, James is actively redefining his environment. He stops seeing the city as this sterile, toxic trap that he has to endure, and he starts seeing it for what it truly is.
Another ecosystem.
Just another ecosystem. He realizes, and the text phrases this so beautifully, that the city is full of hidden, screaming clearings where predators think they can hunt.
Screaming clearings. That is such an evocative phrase. What does that actually mean for his psychology moving forward? How does he map his old life onto this new one?
It is a profound psychological coping mechanism. It allows him to overlay his deep-seated jungle instincts directly onto the urban grid. The concrete buildings and skyscrapers are no longer alien structures.
They're the canopy.
They are just the new canopy layer. The dark alleys and subway tunnels are just the underbrush. And within this newly defined jungle, he has finally found his ecological niche.
He doesn't have to pretend anymore.
He doesn't have to be a miserable, bored millionaire pretending to care about stock portfolios. He can embrace this new identity. He can be a ghost. A rumor whispered among the vulnerable, a suited angel, or, as the series title suggests, a feral saint in the city.
It is the exact moment he finds his true purpose. But, and this is massive, but this new purpose comes with a massive catch, doesn't it? He can't just play superhero in the concrete jungle indefinitely. There's a severe physical toll to his existence.
A very severe one. And this ties right back to that overarching theme of environmental displacement. He can put on the obsidian suit, he can walk on air and intimidate predators, but biologically, he is still fundamentally tethered to that uncharted jungle.
He needs the blood.
To maintain his sanity, his reality-bending powers, and his very cellular structure, he requires a consistent recharge.
What does that recharge actually look like in practice?
It means that for one full day, every single month, he has to completely abandon his city life. He has to travel all the way back to his original habitat, locate the exact specific pond of primordial, mutagenic goo that birthed him, and completely submerge himself in it.
It's his battery.
It is his battery. It is his biological umbilical cord to the earth.
Which sounds incredibly complicated to pull off. When you are supposed to be a high-profile city elite, you can't exactly tell your family or your board of directors that you were taking a personal day to go soak in radioactive jungle mud.
This raises an important question regarding his relationships and his overall security. It introduces the central conflict moving forward. It's a logistical nightmare, but more importantly, it is a massive security risk.
How does he explain the absence?
How does a man living in high society explain vanishing without a trace for a full 24 hours every single month?
It creates incredibly high stakes. James is faced with a massive dilemma regarding the people he actually cares about in the city. Does he lie to his family to cover up his monthly disappearances, thereby isolating himself further? Or does he trust them with his biggest, most dangerous secret?
The danger of that secret is not just abstract. To understand the stakes, we have to look at his social circle, specifically a character named Jenny.
Right, Jenny.
Who is very close to James in the city, and more importantly, Jenny's father. Jenny's father is a powerful, observant figure who has already discovered James's golden healing abilities.
He knows what James can do.
He has seen it, and the narrative makes it chillingly clear that Jenny's dad believes this miraculous healing power is something worth killing for.
That detail fundamentally changes the dynamic. If Jenny's dad is already willing to kill just for the healing light, imagine what he would do if he found out about the source of the power. It would be disastrous. If he discovers the mutagenic goo, it's not just James's life at risk. It is his sanctuary, his origin, the very source of his life force.
Precisely. If James trusts his family and the secret leaks, even accidentally, he could be relentlessly hunted. His primordial pond could be exploited, monetized, or utterly destroyed by corporate interests led by men like Jenny's father.
But the alternative is also terrible.
But if he chooses to lie and keep the secret, he isolates himself even further in a city that is already driving him to the brink of sensory collapse. It is a beautifully constructed psychological and physical trap designed by the author.
The tension is just brilliant. It's an impossible choice between isolation and vulnerability. It's no wonder the readers of this series were practically begging for book 3 to see how this incredibly delicate house of cards finally collapses.
Maracho has managed to take standard urban fantasy tropes, the secret identity, the magical powers, the hidden worlds, and ground them in very real, deeply relatable anxieties about identity, environmental displacement, and the terrifying cost of trust.
That perfectly encapsulates why this specific chapter is so highly praised and analyzed. It has the gripping action, it has the humor, again, the wings are too much, but he likes them, and it has this profound, lingering internal conflict. If you want to dive into this world yourself and experience James's journey firsthand, you should definitely check out Anthony Maraco's The Legend of the Feral Saint in the City, available on Amazon Kindle. So, what does this all mean?
It brings us back to the core theme.
When you strip away the reality-bending powers, the glowing blue eyes, and the mutagenic goo, this deep dive highlights a very universal human struggle. It is the struggle of trying to adapt our truest, perhaps wildest selves to fit into the rigid, concrete expectations of modern life. And ultimately, it is about the extreme lengths we are willing to go and the radical transformations we are willing to undergo to protect the vulnerable people around us.
I agree completely. And as you process all of these themes and narratives today, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We have talked extensively about James's physical transmutation, the tailored obsidian black suit, the massive white wings, as a conscious divine intimidation tactic.
The disguise.
It is a disguise he actively wears to survive, to operate in the city, and to protect others without exposing himself. But it begs a much deeper question for all of us navigating our own complex environments.
What's that?
When we put on our own disguises, whether it is a literal business suit to navigate a cutthroat corporate boardroom or a metaphorical mask we wear to blend into a new social circle or a new city, at what point does that disguise stop being merely a tool for survival and start becoming who we actually are?
That is a fascinating question to end on. Thank you so much for exploring this incredible story with us today. We can't wait to share our next deep dive with you.